Namaste. Welcome
Hey,
on
hey,
in,
hey.
everyone. I love this little dance you're doing.
It's just me fully just gyrating in my seat with my shoulders rolling.
I love it. You know what? I like to imagine that's what Desmond's doing when he's waiting to push the button. He's just
It's
gyrating in
like,
his seat.
execute.
Yeah.
Another 108 minutes last, press it again.
Oh, get it, girl. That's what he does. But welcome on in, everyone. Welcome to Hot Mess Moments. We are your best friend when it comes to hot, messy moments throughout your
We're your
week.
Beth friend.
Oh, actually, can you introduce yourself? Let's do that now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Beth. No, my name is
Hi,
Beth
I'm
Dixon,
Beth.
also known as Augusta Wind 11, and I have never seen Lost before, and I'm so excited to talk about episode 3 of season 2, Orientation, with Dylan, who is
Dylan.
my co-host.
Yeah, it's me. Hello, my name is Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan Online. I stream on Twitch. I used to make very embarrassing, cringy YouTube videos, but now I'm used to, and now I talk about Lost and the Nanny as a little
Instead
fun
of making
hobby.
embarrassing, cringing YouTube videos, he makes a embarrassing, cringy podcast.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hello.
But if you are new here, Hot Mess Moments is birthed out of our love of two different shows. My favorite show was Lost, but I've never seen The Nanny before. And
My favorite show is The Nanny, and it is Chef's Kiss.
Yeah, but you've never seen Lost before.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
The way, nope, never have.
Oh my gosh. I did make a TikTok today that is me being so tired as I like a duet this video. They're like, we're going to ask you 16 questions. Do you think you can answer them? And I'm like, okay. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, Beth. Where do you live? New York. Are you tired? Literally always. Like, that's the level I get. And then I start getting like, dude, your face is creepy. Like I start having those kind of responses. But
wait, duet is like live?
No. It's where you take their video and it goes like
see.
side by side next to yours, but like I'm reacting.
I'm not a TikToker, so I don't understand it. But
don't
that's cool.
say that. Don't say that.
Don't say that.
You had such a wonderful TikTok.
I did. I had a great TikTok career for the 5 seconds I did them.
I created my TikTok account at your apartment when you lived in San Francisco.
It's true. I birthed the monster that is Beth's TikTok now.
And believe me, you know it's good because my dad likes every single one of my TikToks.
That's so cute.
And his name is Mary's Drummer. My mom is Mary, and he's a drummer.
My God, I love that.
So if you see Mary's Drummer on TikTok, it's my dad. And
That's
don't tell me if he's liking anything weird because I don't want to know.
It's like some weird.
It's just me.
No, he's liking like those cute hot girls doing the TikTok dances. He just likes them over and over and over again.
Bless
Leaves a
my
comment.
dad.
You're doing great. I love your form. Like
No. My dad would never do that. My dad responds to everything with 2 words. Either cool or okay. Literally nothing else. I'm like, Dad, I just finished my last class on my master's degree. I'm going to graduate. Cool.
Shut up.
That's not a joke. That is 100%.
That is amazing.
That's amazing. And then the one time I was like, guys, watch this. My dad's going to say cool. He went, okay. And I was like, oh my God. He didn't even say cool. He said the other word. And so then we made fun of him for this for like a long time. And now, bless him, he will send me videos. He's like the Facebook dad that sends people videos and private messages. And he will send me only like baby elephant videos. And they're super cute. Because he knows I love elephants. And so he will literally be like, look at he won't even text me. There will be nothing contextually with it. It's just a sketchy looking link to something. And I'm like, Dad, I love you so much. I can never tell if this is like, is this the day where you got hacked on Facebook and you're sending me a sketchy link? And then I'll open it up and be like, watch this baby elephant roll down a hill. And it's like, okay, great. This is cute. And then one time he did contextualize it and just wrote, thought of you. And it was a baby elephant getting a shower. And I was like, I don't want to know why you thought of me for this. Like, well, had to have someone hose her down, thought of Beth.
That is hilarious. First and foremost.
But it's also
your dad
cute.
your dad sounds adorable. Yeah, welcome to Hot Mess Moments. Beth's dad. Honestly, we just need to have Beth's dad on here. Just say cool whenever you say one of your theories.
What we should just get is we should get like a soundboard.
Soundboard, yeah.
But here's the thing, he doesn't say cool and okay. Like in real life.
Oh, he
it's just through text message.
Got it.
So I'll be like, if I talk to him in real life, I'll be like, Dad, I finished my master's degree. And he'll be like, that's so great, honey. I'm proud of you. Via text message, cool.
Cool.
Another time, this is legitimate. One time I texted him and said, I'm lost. I don't know how to get to where you're at. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Cool. That was like, no, and like I called him and I was like, what the hell was that? It's like, I wanted to let you know that I saw your message. I was like, you could have also said, here's the directions of how to get there written down. Here's the updated address.
Your dad's got auto response like that. He's got the autofill ready, primed and
so
ready.
Funny.
He just has to type C and it says cool and then it sends all automatically.
I love my dad so much. I am the epitome of like his side of the family.
Yeah.
I look like him. I act like him. I tell stories like him. Like there's no DNA test needed. I got nothing from my mom except for like overthinking. That was about it. I can drink like my dad
at some point then.
Mm-hmm.
And
my
then
mom
it's just
is the
you
sweetest
and a beard.
woman.
It's just you with like a fake beard on. And
okay. Here's the thing. So my friend Samantha Short.
Yeah.
Hey Sam. She looks exactly like her father.
Okay.
I look like my father. And I'll never forget.
It's funny.
A few years ago. So my brother looks like my Uncle Steve, which is my mom's brother. So I'm like, okay. But a couple years ago, my friend Sam was getting hit on by some guy, and he said something along the lines of like, can I have your mom's phone number? And she's like, why? And he's like, because I want to text her and thank her for making someone so beautiful. She must, that kind of thing. And and Sam went, that's hysterical because I don't look anything like my mom. I look exactly like my dad. So if you want to text my dad,
number.
Yeah. And all I could think about is if I did that to my dad, my dad would just say, cool.
Cool. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, I was gonna piggyback off the trend here. I look almost like 96% like my mom. I also got my height from my mom.
Oh, okay. She's tall.
Oh, my mom's like 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1". Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See,
my
like
mom's,
that's really tall for women.
Yeah. My mom's like super tall, but my dad's pretty short. He's like 5'6", maybe. So he's like
Nigel's height.
Yeah, like around my husband's height. Yeah.
You know what's great about that is that Nigel will say, I'm the same height as Beth, bitch. I'm 5'7".
Which is funny because Nigel's actually like, I think like 5'5".
Do you remember
Nigel's my husband for anyone?
Oh yeah, for those that don't know. Do you guys remember, and by you guys, it's just you I'm talking to. When I was in San Francisco, he was like, I'm the same height as Beth. And I'm like, no. And we kept going back to back like multiple times throughout that trip.
And you were definitely taller. And then we were in New York. Like you were still taller then.
Yeah, I'm not like at the age where I shrink yet. I mean, and that's what I think is hysterical. And and part of it too, he was like, well, you're just wearing tall shoes. I'm like, I'm wearing a sandal that is flat. Yeah. I'm wearing a lounge, like boat shoe.
He just doesn't want to admit that he might be short.
And he's not short, like comparative for the whole world, maybe for men.
He's short. He's short.
He's a little pussy.
He's a little bit. He doesn't listen, and so we're good.
I was just gonna say this isn't gonna harm me, but someone might be sleeping on that couch. Wait, do you have a couch yet?
Yeah, we have a couch now.
You got a sleeper sofa, right?
No, we didn't. Ended up not going for a sleeper sofa. We went for a super comfy couch. It is the most comfy couch.
But doesn't it kind of look like mine?
It looks nothing like yours.
So never mind. The picture that I was shown looked like mine. So that's why I was like, I'm a trendsetter.
No, yours is very nice, though. I have to say, as someone that sat on Beth's couch and slept on the sleeper part of it.
I was just going to say, as someone who has done more on this couch than I have, and that sounded weird, but I mean, like, has slept on it and the pull-out portion. And
I saw literally someone having sex on your couch.
Not on my couch.
Yeah.
They weren't having sex on it, but he was sitting on my couch while he watched. And for those that don't know that story, I hope that you go back and watch this this past episode of The Nanny.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Welcome to Hot Mess Tangents, as we are known. Welcome on in, everyone. If you're new here, if you're still listening after 11 minutes, you're a trooper and you're part of us. But you also,
if you've been here for a while, we like to take the first 10 minutes or so just to be a little
just talk.
Weird.
Yeah.
But now we need to turn our attention to the fact that we didn't watch this episode just once, Dylan.
No, we did
I don't know if you're aware of this because you were there and also hosted the stream, but we watched it a second time.
We did.
Not even a full hour ago.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, this episode is a very lore dump-y episode. It has a ton of backstory and setup for like basically the new era of Lost. We had like this sort of mystery going into season 1, and they've like flipped it on its head for season 2. They've introduced a lot more to like chew on. So let's get into it. So this is Lost season 2, episode 3, Orientation.
I have to say the orientation we do at the school I work at, much more robust than just a film. Which can we also, I know this is jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
That said, it was made in like 1989 or something like that.
Yeah. No, definitely was not made in 1989.
It said, wait, hold on. I have it written down. Where did it say? Circa.
It was like
1980.
Yeah.
Still, 1980 on that jankety film projector.
It's true. It's something to think about. Why is this so rudimentary?
Because they ain't real scientists, I'll tell you that. Ba, ba, ba. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like, all right, here comes a theory.
Like, I don't trust scientists with their vaccines.
Get the fuck out of here.
I got 3 shots just to stick it to them.
I would vote for the smoke monster. The smoke monster knows exactly what's up.
He wants to keep this island the way it should be.
The way it should be. Back to its roots. He wants to keep
foreigners out. And that is what I like about the smoke monster.
It pulls them into holes and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. And he just spit them out. And he said, get the fuck off our land.
You are giving me McDonald's down on Dorset vibes. And I love it.
I punched her right in the cooter.
Excuse me, bitch.
Excuse me, bitch. I said, I'll have the McRib. I'll have the McRib with a side of Dr. Pepper. I said, ain't you forgetting something, sweetheart? And she said, what? I said, you're supposed to ask me if I want to double up the McRib for $1.95. And she said, honey, it don't look like you need an extra McRib. I said, excuse me, bitch.
I hate that you know the faces that she makes.
Down on Dorset.
Down on Dorset.
I have watched that so much, though.
Yeah, we really did.
I mean, I have watched that video so many times.
It's iconic. Okay. Speaking of iconic, this episode.
This episode has a lot to it. So
what's your rating for this episode?
This is a 9 out of 10.
For sure.
I really liked it. The only reason why I'm not giving it a full 10 out of 10 is purely because I can't stand Jack so much in this episode, to the point where, like, full disclosure, the second time we watched it around, we watched it at 1.5 speed because we'd already watched it. It was more like, now that I'm not going to be writing notes, like, let's watch. And even at 1.5 speed, I was like, this is too much Jack. I can't handle him. And I will say this. I said this to Dylan. I unmuted. I will share it here. Tyler Lyons, we love you very much. I'm so thankful for your friendship. How the hell do you like Jack as a character? I will say this right now. I prefer Shannon over Jack.
Oh my God, that is insane. For those that are just now watching that have not seen the past episodes, Shannon is Beth's least favorite character.
He has far surpassed her in delusion of self-entitlement and importance.
Damn.
And he has more gravitas and leadership with the group. Nobody's listening to Shannon. Nobody cares about Shannon except for Saeed. And I ain't seen the two of them together in the past 3 episodes.
That's true.
So let me just say that because of Jack's positioning, the fact that he's like a little whiny bitch who is going through something in this episode in particular, and I get it. I know why he's freaking out. I don't care. He is so absolutely unwatchable for me. Like, to the point where I was like, could we like fast forward through this? And I didn't actually unmute to say that, but I was thinking it. Like,
no, I agree with you here. Something about this rewatch really makes me fucking hate Jack. Like, there is not a single quality so far that he has shown in the past, like, I want to say 10 episodes that makes him redeemable, that makes him lovable. You don't root for Jack. You are, in fact, rooting against him most of the time because he makes really dumb decisions. And a lot of his dumb decisions are based off of things in his past that are weirdly coming back up. There's nothing that has led to them coming back up. It's just like it's like the way that they're writing Jack, they're purposely making him react in a specific way to a specific situation without logic because they need someone there to have like a dilemma. And it's like a weird.
It's so weird because compare that to Locke, right? Who they're also doing a similar thing with. But because Locke's, and I will also say this, okay, we're also talking about Locke's character fits the unique, weird circumstances of what's happening in the island. Jack's character doesn't. So I understand Jack's role as none of this makes sense, blah, 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 logically speaking. But I don't understand why the argument hasn't been, nothing makes sense here.
Yeah.
How come that isn't being brought up? And that could be a theory of mine. I don't know, that maybe it's just like they are so unaware of how like weird this island. Like, Jack, people are hearing voices. We saw a polar bear on a tropical island. We inexplicably, the tail of the plane just disappeared and we all crashed and most of us were fine. Like, inexplicably. 4, there's a smoke monster. You even saw it. 5, there's like a siren. 6, there's pirate ships randomly on here that have explosives that like apparently still work or whatever. 7, there's others. We don't know what they do. Apparently there's a sickness. I mean, 8, how come people are healing so friggin' fast?
Yes.
You are a doctor. Pick that up. Like, there are like almost 10 things right off the top of my head that I would just look at him and go, would you stop having a mental breakdown of self-entitlement and back the fuck off?
Go off.
Like, and this is where I'm upset with Kate's character, because she's the only one he quote unquote listens to, which is not true. Actually, I think he listens to Saeed too, but
I think he also now listens to Sun.
Yeah, a
A
little
little
bit.
bit.
But you know what? I will say this. Sun has stood up to Jack more than Kate has.
She
Kate
absolutely
is an
has.
enabler. And that's what I don't like about Kate's character is that she is everything that we've been told about her past is that she is not an enabler.
Yep.
And yet here she is. And so that's like, if anything, she's the one that gets enabled in like her past life, right? So this is what drives me crazy. It seems like that writing of his character, I'm sorry, my laundry's going to go bum, 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 like 10 times over the next couple minutes. My apologies.
Fine.
But it's that writing of the character that drives me crazy because I do think that the elements that they're trying to portray could easily do that without a lot of the bitchiness. Like it's the fact he's bitchy.
He's bitchy and he's whiny. He's whiny. Like, he's crying about weird shit. Like
I married her. Fuck off. Who cares? You're on an island. Like, you're like, also they basically said, Desmond says in this episode, yeah, they're like, as you saw in the film, it's an electromagnetic field or whatever. And we see it like the magnetic thing is clearly theirs.
Yeah. And, ooh, big thing. You brought up polar bears. They literally show polar bears in the orientation video. Like how does he not equate this like in his brain?
That has been brought in that video about weather, about zoology, about like psychology and all that stuff. Basically, I'm going to give you my overall arching theory now about this, just because I can't wait, and it's just so natural to do it right now. So I will.
And I have questions for you later on.
This would be great. Okay. Yeah. Have you ever read or seen the Divergent series?
I have heard of Divergent series. Yes.
Okay. Can I spoil it for you?
Oh yeah. Spoiler. Okay. We'll do it right now.
Spoiler alert for
anyone
for the Divergent series. So, yeah. Just be aware of that.
Just like scroll ahead, like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes.
I also will say this, that book series has been out for like 10 years. So like, get on it.
And I think I already kind of know the story. They made a movie off of it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did all 4 movies or something like that. So there's 3 books and 4 movies. And what essentially is the case in that book is that they're in Chicago in the future. It's, post-apocalyptic, that kind of thing, right? And there's different like groups of people based off of traits. If you are somebody who seeks justice and truth, you're in candor. If you're somebody who seeks being selflessness and helping others, you're in abnegation. If you're somebody who seeks knowledge and science and truth and like that kind of thing, you're in erudite. Amity is for peace and earthiness and all that kind of stuff, hippie like stuff. And then dauntless are the brave people who like they all have different roles of how they fill the society. And the whole this is where the spoiler thing comes out, is that it's revealed in the last episode or last book that it's actually one of many different test sites, because what happens is gene therapy, it gets out of hand in the past where people start choosing the genes they want for their kids, which leads to like class warfare where richer people, I always have been very mindful of this as I think about people going, I'm going to make sure that my child won't have this sickness. So I'm choosing this health thing, this gene to get rid of it when we design our child, essentially.
Yeah.
That basically becomes like people who are rich can create their perfect child who's not going to have to face as many adversities. And therefore, class warfare breaks out. There's this post-apocalyptic thing. And what they're trying to get back to is people having a variety of different genes and such, right? But all of this is a social experiment that nobody is aware of inside the city. They think they're the only ones alive in the whole world. And that if they leave the city walls, they're going to die, right? And they find out when they leave the city walls that, nope, they're just being carefully monitored by a whole bunch of scientists and such. And this is where I think Dharma comes in.
Okay.
I think that they say that it's going to be like, I think that they tried to make this like a scientist thing based off of like, I had my theory last week. I'm still kind of sticking with it with like Jurassic Park. Like they tried to do something that was like away from somebody on an island to do different kinds of research and such. But I think the real social experiment is bringing people here after things have gone to shit to see how new societies, quote unquote, work with these, like, we're going to look at these, the psychological aspects of being shipwrecked or in a plane crash or something on this island. We're going to look at the weird, magnetic effects of certain things on this island. We're going to look at the weird, zoological aspects of having, polar bears in this kind of environment and sharks that are clearly been put in this area that are like targeted for one thing. And they're going to be amped up in all these variety of ways.
Okay.
There's going to be different technology needs. And I think that Dharma, when they say your replacements are going to come, blah, 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 I don't think they actually planned to have scientists come all the time. I think they planned for when the next group gets shipwrecked on the island, some will be forced to come down there. Like, I think that's basically what they're basically saying. So that is my big theory. It kind of relates to that, where you have this group that's kind of outside the society in this case being the island, who are monitoring everything.
So I guess that answers one of my questions I was going to ask is, do you think the Dharma Initiative is still around? Because it seemed that I
think this is the real experiment.
Yeah. So you think like the Dharma Initiative is around, but it's not what you think it is. Or it's not like what the video portrayed. It's like
the video portrays it as if like people were going to come here as scientists and get going. And I'm sure, but they already admit to something going wrong there, which is why you have to like press the button. I think the whole point is that it did start off as this, like, we can do whatever we want to do scientifically.
Yeah.
But because there weren't rules in place, things went wrong. And now they sent people there to see if this place is like a livable habit, but then they can also kind of do like let's see if there's a Lord of the Flies effect. Let's see if there's this effect.
Okay.
How do people get affected when they come to this place? That is a theory I have.
I have some more questions because I'm just curious of your thoughts on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the others are the Dharma Initiative, or do you think they're a separate entity?
I think they're another group that are castaways on the island.
Okay.
We keep hearing people about being sick on this island, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there are people who have been sick by the island. And I think the sickness comes with something with the electromagnetic waves. I don't think it's something that you ingest or anything like that. I think it's something that messes with like your brain, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. And then there was a few interesting things I just wanted your thoughts on. That video was interesting. It said like orientation 3 of 6. We finally got the name of the company, which was Dharma Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
The scientist who was speaking on it had like a prosthetic arm. Mm-hmm. There was like the graininess of it. It seemed like parts of it had been cut out. What are your just overall thoughts of if this is orientation 3 of 6? Also, the station is called the Swan Station.
In the 3 of 6, they said that you're at site number 3 out of 6. Yep. So I think that's why it's 3 out of 6. I don't think it's like that there's 6 orientation films and you're only on 3.
That makes sense.
So I think that you're on the one that is meant for number 3, the Swan. So they had like the 2 scientists that like came up with the idea of basically creating like a scientist like the paradise kind of thing. Yeah, the
it's very BioShock. It feels very BioShocky, where it's like we have all these scientists that really want to test science, but human society is like stopping us from really finding our potential. And so they like they get this guy named Alvar Hanzo to fund the Dharma Initiative. And then that's kind of where that all happens. I'll give you a little bit of backstory.
Cool.
If I'm not mistaken, it was season 2 or season 3. I'm pretty sure it was season 2. There was an ARG that ran alongside season 2 that was all about the Dharma Initiative. And it was about like uncovering aspects of like the DeGroots and how they started their research and like how the Dharma Initiative got started. I truly can't remember much. I just remember that the forums were like lit up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like there was these websites you could go to, and there was like a side story about this like researcher who was trying to find the island because they had found like notes about an island, and they were like, where is this? We can't find this. This doesn't exist. It's so hard to find. I'd have to like pull it up, but at some point I will pull up the story of this ARG because I think it's good to know, because it is considered canon and it is like considered part of the story. It's just not showcased within the show.
Gotcha.
That's same with once we get to the towards the end of season 3. I want a special stream of you and I playing the Lost video game.
Ooh,
because that is considered canon as well, and reveals a few things that aren't shown in the show. Side note, the video game is fucking awful, but it's a joy if you're a fan of the show.
Well, listen, then we'll have to play the Nanny video game.
Oh my God, I wish that was
it's just dressing Fran up. No, just kidding. I wish that was,
I was here for it.
We'd so there. So yeah, I think this will be really interesting to see like what is canon, what isn't, all those different kinds of things. But so let's go through this episode.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to separate out the memories from what's happening in the present day.
There's like 3 big storylines. There's the hatch, there's what's happening to Sawyer and the crew, and then there's the flashbacks. Yeah. So do you want to talk about the flashbacks first?
Let's talk about the flashbacks. Then let's talk about the raft who are now with the new people, and then we'll finish with the hatch because that's where a lot of the action takes place with this.
Yeah.
So the flashbacks, this is a Locke-centered episode. We're getting flashbacks. It starts off with him in therapy and some kind of support group. And I didn't get a sense if this was like an anger support group, if this was what kind of support group it was.
It was a management group called Transforming Anger. Okay. And it, from my gatherings, was like all these people had been conned by like their parents or someone close to them. And so it was like this group of people.
So what I think is interesting, and I will invoke a little bit of my master's degree work here, where I took a lot of counseling classes or classes with a whole bunch of people who were, psychologists and counselors and such, and say that a lot of this stuff isn't about anger. Anger is a pretty immediate reaction, and we tend to let go of anger, but it can feed into resentment, which is awful. So oftentimes when people are like, I have to go to anger management, it's like, yes, the people who have to go to anger management are people who literally can't control themselves when they're angry and they lash out. And it's about managing that. But support groups like this is more about managing resentment, which we get a lot of in these memories, that is clearly what Locke is dealing with, is resentment, which can also add into bursts of anger and such, right? So we see Locke kind of pop off on this group and being like, oh, boo-hoo.
Girl, he goes in on her.
She's
you
like,
feel too much.
You feel too much. If you ask me, like, you've got, oh, my mother took $30 from me. Big deal. And I'm like, actually, big deal. That is a big deal. Like, if you have family members who are stealing from you, who's to say they won't steal a kidney next, Locke? Calm down.
Locke. But that's when he meets Helen.
Katie Sagal.
Yes. Amazing actress.
I love Katie Sagal. I will always love her from 8 Simple Rules. I know most people will say from Sons of Anarchy. I've actually never seen Sons of Anarchy. But I love Katie Sagal. But anyway, so he meets Helen, who apparently has wanted to pop off in a similar way. And we find out through later memories that she is somebody who has also dealt with a lot of anger and resentment, and kind of got that resolved through having someone like Locke, where she could like share some of that, but then grow in another way and move forward.
And fuck the anger out, because she's in a bald,
oh my gosh. Listen.
She's into bald guys. Ooh.
She's into bald guys. And he's like, I'm not bald. And she's like,
I can wait.
I can wait for that hair, or I could pull it out tonight. What would you like?
Oh my God, stop.
That's what she said.
She did say that. She said it exactly like that too. She like whispered in his ear.
Little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
I want your thoughts. So we've seen Locke in past flashbacks when he's in a wheelchair, which is at some undetermined point of time, calling a woman named Helen that is clearly not this Helen. It is like another Helen.
Which I don't actually think that her name is Helen, that's like sex line worker. I think that he like made her have her name as Helen.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Now that I've seen this episode, I thought the same thing, where he's basically personified this, sex worker on the phone to be Helen, to fill that void. It's disturbing as hell. It's so funny to me that this is the person who I enjoy watching on my screen more than the doctor who saves people lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like knowing me with my obsession with Dr. Mike, you would think it would be a very different situation.
Yeah.
It's not. I think what clearly happens, which we don't see here, is that he can't commit to her the way that she wants him to by the end of the memories. And he keeps going back, and she breaks it off with him because she's a woman of her word. And you know what? Good for you. Know your worth and step away, woman. I love it. Girl, you're great. Lock your piece of crap on this like memory lane thing. Okay.
Agreed.
So we do see, like, after they meet, the next memory is him he wakes up Helen when he's getting ready to leave in the middle of the night. They clearly just slept together. And he's like, I promise it's not you. I just don't sleep well in a strange bed. But I really like you. And bye. And that's what he does. And then he shows up at his father's house, who tells him to, hey, get over it. You're not the first person who got conned. And you're not welcome here. And I was just like, oh, Father of the Year award.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he's a shitty person. This is like the third or fourth backstory for a character that has been conned. We are seeing a lot of con artists in the Lost universe. Like a lot of these people.
This episode in particular is really interesting, and I'll kind of get more into this in a second, in that every single thing that we see relates to needing another person, right? Especially you have Locke in the future, Locke in the past. You've got the people who are trapped. They're like, oh, we need, I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. Like, it's just this idea of like finding assistance, asking for help, and being willing to do that. Right. And there's so much that we'll be able to continue to say about Locke. But the other thing that's incredibly painful, that is the root of all of this, it's not that he wants an apology from his father. Locke wants to feel wanted.
Yep.
He loses it, and rightfully so. I can understand when his father says, you're not wanted here, and then gets out of the car. And then he finally has a person say, I want you, and he can't make that switch because it's not the right person wanting him.
Yep.
Even if it's someone he cares about truly. And he kind of gets what he wants at the end of the episode in quote unquote modern times, which we'll get to. The next flashback is Helen gives Locke a key to her apartment and basically says, like, here's the next thing though, like, you have to stay. If you're going to stay over, you're staying over. You're there the full night. You're not getting.
You're fucking me all night and in the morning.
Correct. Like, none of this like one and done situation.
Yeah. Fuck you, Locke.
Like, take a Viagra if you need it. Drink some coffee and let's get going.
Yeah, she's like, this pussy isn't going to pound itself, daddy. Helen says that. It's in the deleted scenes.
Above their bed, there is a sign that says, welcome to Pound Town. And she's like, maximum capacity. It's like, it's actually not even capacity as much as like, you have to be there a certain amount of time in order to be considered a resident.
I was like, maximum capacity, it's like 5. Like, damn, queen, yes.
Can I tell you something that's really embarrassing, but in like a funny way?
You're like, I once had 5 dicks in me.
I did. It was really painful. No. When I was in high school, I broke a school record in swimming, and they misprinted the time. Okay. And so they gave me like the fake one, which had the wrong time on it. And I had it in my apartment. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Or I had it in this was back when I was living at home. And then I moved out, went to college. And my parents were like, we don't know what to do. Do you want us to throw this out? And I was like, no, it's a cool memento. Like, I broke a school record. Who knows how long my record will be up there? And I won't be able to have that one that's up in the pool until I get this one or whatever. So that they were like, yeah, we'll hold on to it. I came back from college and my dad hung it over my bed. So then it just said, B. Dixon, 2/18/56. And I was like, that looks like a different kind of record. And so I would have people like they would come visit my parents' house and like my bedroom would be used as like a guest room and be like, why are you so proud that your daughter could get off in 2 minutes and 18 seconds? Like, which by the way, I looked at that and I went, that's too long.
You're like, let's set new records, honey.
Honey, get that stopwatch ready. So anyway, that just reminded me of that moment.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to go over scene by scene, but like overall with this like flashback, what we gather is Helen does end up convincing Locke to step away from this obsession with his father and really commit to a relationship with her. Yeah. And this is the first time that I think we've seen a positive note in Locke's backstory, because every single flashback of his has always ended in tragedy, always ended in something bad happening to him. So it's very nice to see like a positive spin.
I will say this though, I'm not convinced by him. Okay, I'll do like it's Same. Not convincing.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I fell. The killer's gonna come get me. Yeah.
No, I really generally feel like you can tell Locke is going to be the means of his own demise here. And can I tell you my theory of how and why?
Yeah, please.
I think he's good at it for a little while and really does try to put in the effort to like remove himself. I think there's an issue with the kidney that got removed. Like something happens and he gets like an infection or something like that.
Okay.
That makes it so he can't walk. Like there's that much damage and it brings him right back to that resentment. And like Helen was more than willing to stand by his side as like he went through all this, but he gets so obsessive and resentment and all that stuff comes back in a whole other wave of intensity. And she can't be around him because of that, not because of like not wanting to help him with that. And that's why she leaves. And then he is just a ball of patheticness after that.
Interesting. You'll have to wait and see. It's gonna
I really truly think that whatever's goes on with his legs is somehow because of his father. And I feel like it would be a weird cop out if it was like his father just like runs him over with a car.
Yeah.
Because they already did that with Michael. They already had Michael get hit by the car as a part of a plot point. So I feel like it would be something that is related to him getting his kidney taken out.
So that basically covers Locke's flashbacks. Yep. I really want us to talk a bit about what happens to Sawyer and the raft crew.
Yeah. So basically, they get hit in the face with a club from the get-go, which like, I don't understand this crew of people. Okay. I understand needing to take people prisoner and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But this guy, like, let's just take a step back. There's no reason that anybody should have survived those hits.
That's true.
To the head.
Yeah.
There's no reason. I hit my head on my doorknob tonight and I thought I was going to die.
But it's also an island that people heal. They do like magic, Hollywood magic.
Give a shit, Dylan. I hit my head as I bent over and came up and I thought, this is it.
It's over,
this is it. I've knocked a good 50 years off my life on top of everything else. My dad used to tell me every time you hit the back of your head, you knock like 7 months off your life or something like that.
Oh my God.
So I should have died 7 years ago by my math. So, hey, I'm here. But I just like, so he like hits them in the head like he is trying to hit a home run at Fenway over the Green Monster. Like he literally just was like, oh yeah, bam, and like to the point it looks like a baseball bat. It doesn't even look like some kind of rudimentary club. It looks like they literally, the prop guys were like, here, take a baseball bat for the shots, and then we'll make it look like it's just bamboo. And I'm like, no, that was a baseball bat. That was a Louisville Slugger, and you can't tell me anything different. So he hits them hard.
Like that scene in particular, I was like, ooh, she's not coming back from that. Like, no, oh no, girl. But they eventually get
they wake up very quickly for having been hit in the head, which again, I know island, blah, 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 whatever. But so then they get dragged through the woods. They get put into this pit that has clearly been made for prisoners. And then they have like a caged top of this, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to get information, Sawyer and Michael are, out of Jin, which obviously language barrier. They're trying to figure out how many are there. Jin tells them he was blindfolded, so he doesn't know. And Jin just calls them the others because that's all that Jin knows. Like anybody else, they just think anybody else who's a human on this island must be another.
Yep.
And then they're trying to get lifted up to see if Sawyer can like sneak out or figure out what's happening. And the big dude comes back and like puts a knife through to kind of like make him stop.
Yeah.
And then, like, this is what's interesting to me, right? The others have proven that they don't care and would just kill people. So why keep them prisoner? So that would be something I would want to be thinking, right? Why keep them prisoner? I don't think these are the others. And that's what's going in my mind, right? So I'm thinking in my head, I think my theory is correct that this is actually the tail end of the plane people. And this gets confirmed to a certain extent because we get to see ANA LUCIA get put into the pit as she's knocked out and pretending to sleep. And I love that they're like, it's a girl. Like I was like, whoa, very astute. Whoa, she's got boobs. Boobs. You want to see the bibs? Are you a bib? Are you an ass man?
Oh my God, I hate that. But I love the fact that we have only gotten ANA LUCIA in 2 episodes, and she's already more of a badass than Kate has been in a season in 3 episodes.
Hello. This is why I can't wait, and I hope that she sees Jack so that she can be like, hey, you wanted this pussy? You ain't gonna get any more because you're a fucking idiot. And I need you to step off. Like I can already hear her say almost exactly what I just said and not even an exaggeration. Now I know realistically that wouldn't go on ABC. So that's not what's going to be said.
She does
I'll be reading in between the lines.
She does in fact actually say exactly those lines.
Wanted this pussy. You can't have it. I don't know why I got like Italian Godfather when I started doing that, but I'm kind of here for it.
It was kind of a vibe.
I'm here for it. So anyway, we see her and she basically confirms that she was also on the plane. She was in the tail. They're like, but you should have died. And she was like, I woke up underwater. And I'm like, that's scary. Could you imagine that you just wake up underwater?
Yeah, you like can't breathe and you're just underwater.
Which tells me, I think some of that might be true, but I don't think that's actually the truth. She seems to be, obviously we figure this out because she tells them to pull her up and that she's in cahoots with those people. And we know that she was on the flight and she's confirmed that with them. She's basically down there to gather information about who these 3 guys are. Sawyer messes it up by going, I got a gun. And then she can't believe that somebody would have a gun who's on the plane. So she, and I think this is smart thinking, is like, wow, these people are posing to as like people who are on our plane, but are in fact others or something like that, right? So clearly they have knowledge that there are people who aren't good on this island.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would they have a pit and all these different things, right?
True.
So whereas the front of the plane, the people that we know who have crashed, were like, what if we separated out and had 2 really nice, like we could have like an oceanside home and then we could have like a jungle, like exclusive home, like in the caves and like,
HGTV.
what if we like argued with each other about everything. What if we built a golf course? Like, let's make this great. Right? The back of the plane people were like, we got to bond together and beat the shit out of anybody we don't know. And we're going to work as a team.
We're going to fuck them up.
We're going to fuck them up. And so clearly there's a very different vibe at this camp, right?
Agreed.
So Sawyer does admit he's got the gun. He got it from the marshal. She said, well, why do you have it? And that, of course, is going to be like a red flag in her mind.
Yeah, she's like, also,
Marshall's gun.
I also love why the fuck didn't you use it when he was coming at you with a fucking club?
And he's like, I was too busy being hit in the face. Like, I was like, well, accurate. Yeah. Also, I still don't understand how that gun works. It shouldn't have worked when it was in the ocean. It works here, but once again, island magic. Also, island magic mojo. I did write this somewhere. There should not be any more bullets left. The amount of times that gun was shot when first at the people, he tries to shoot them once. Yeah. And then Michael
might not even have bullets.
That's my point. I don't think there's any bullets left. So I'm going to give him a little surprise. I'm like, why? By going, like, I mean, what's going to happen?
I wonder if he would have just held the gun just to scare them, to take them out.
Just honestly. So,
that pretty much covers
it. Yeah.
The raft. What is your theory on what do you think is going to happen next time this is covered?
So I think that they're going to definitely be talking more from above and in the pit. I don't know if they escaped the pit yet. I think that there's still some more convincing that needs to be done. And I think that they need to like figure out ways in order to convince them that like, no, we're not bad people. The Marshall was real. He died. We have his gun. But a lot of that is not going to sound good to people who are obviously on the defense. Yeah. So I think that Michael is going to be key in talking down everything.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have to talk about the raft and talk about, his boy being missing. Because that's the other thing I made a note of. When he says, where's my son? Where's my boy? The guy who puts him in there has a brief second of being like, what are you talking about? But like, clearly he's intrigued by that. And I think that's why they send ANA LUCIA down there. Because they're like, why would the others be like wanting to know about us, like a little boy? Like that doesn't make any sense. So I do think that like, it'll be through Michael's desperation of trying to that either, maybe it's just him who gets up there and I can see them keeping Sawyer in that pit for a while. Yeah. And because Jin already escaped, I could see them keeping him down there.
That's true.
So those are kind of some thoughts there. I think that this is more of a, like, we need to feel each other out situation.
Oh, that makes sense. And then lastly, we've got this hatch. Now we've already covered it a bit. Let's talk it more broadly. So basically what happens,
and a lot of this also, I will also say another reason why I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 is that so much of the beginning is stuff we already know, like just get to the new parts. Like it's not even just the flashbacks. It's like, what if we showed Kate in the vent again with nothing new that happens? And I'm like, can we just like move on? Like, what are we doing? So basically what happens is, Kate is able to break down from the vent. She gets one of the rifle shotguns, and instead of shooting him, she like knocks him out or knocks him over. I mean, with the butt of the gun. It makes him shoot the gun, and it hits the computer, which breaks the computer. And so he freaks out, and he's like, "Oh my God, there's a countdown. We got to fix the computer, or else we're all going to die." And that's where Kate goes, I'll go get Saeed to bring him over here to fix it. We do have that really funny moment where she gets to Saeed and Hurley's like, things are going back to normal. Oh no. And so Hurley comes too, which is kind of cool.
Which is all I find very weird for Hurley, because Hurley already is sketched out by the hatch because it had the numbers on the side. So it's just kind of weird that Hurley's like, all right, I guess I'll go.
I think it's because he has so much curiosity of what's happening. And I get the idea from how he's acted that he doesn't necessarily want to do anything, but he also likes to be in the know of what's going on.
That's true. He likes to be on the A team.
Yeah, he wants to be on the A team. So he and Saeed go back. Meanwhile, we have this whole debacle, which is kind of getting annoying to me, with like Jack not wanting to do anything that involves faith, because I think that honestly what happens with him is that he thinks that faith is the reason why bad things happen, is that people aren't thinking logically. If he thought logically about his patient, he wouldn't have married her. There wouldn't have been guilt. And clearly there's an issue there, right?
Yeah.
He also doesn't like to think that the miracle of her, he put so much, and because everybody else put so much weight and like put faith on a pedestal, I think that he thinks that faith poisons people's minds versus like letting them think through things logically. That's what we're getting the sense of. So he can't, and Desmond recognizes him. Locke catches on to that, and they go and they watch the orientation video, which we discussed.
Yep.
And Locke's like, let's watch it again. And he's like, you're going to watch it again? Watch it again. And he's like, don't you want to watch it again? Like, and that's the thing that I think drives me crazy, is that Locke has a level-headedness about him, that he's not a sane person.
It just doesn't make any sense that
it's just like he's just so frustrated that people aren't thinking logically to a point, because he's like,
but he's not,
because it's not how he thinks. But that's exactly the point. But he doesn't see that like he is thinking so emotionally, and he is thinking all these things because he has guilt about things in his past that had to do with faith, not actually at people who have faith. He's so poisoned in the mind.
Yeah. And then he like later has after Desmond fails at fixing the computer, Desmond goes and leaves, and Jack ends up tracking him down for some fucking reason, and only to like hold a gun to him, being like, why are you doing this?
And another reason why this is a 9 out of a 10 rather than 10 out of 10. The only reason I could figure this out is because he does have this, holy shit, what if things don't make sense here. And this is a situation, like, how is this the one person that he happens to know is here? And when he saw his father earlier in season 1 running through the jungle or whatever, like, or would just like appear. So like, you know that there's a lot of this that's fucking with his mind, and he's trying to figure out, like, is this real? How is this happening? How are you the one that's here? Like, these kind of things. And meanwhile, Desmond's really pushing him, like, what happened to the woman? What happened to the woman? And this is where Jack has to like face that the woman was fine, just like Desmond said, have some faith in it. And the faith portion was like, came true, which much to like, honestly, Jack's chagrin. But then that also led to all of these like things that he felt like he had to do because it was fate, quote unquote. And so I think that understanding that weird and inexplicable things happen is like getting to him. So he turns back, and Saeed is able to fix the computer. They're at the 4-minute mark. There's a countdown. They get the numbers in there. Hurley tries to get him to stop with the numbers, and they go 36. And he's like, actually, yeah, I mean, go for it, man, if you want to. And then Jack's like, no, silly. It's 46.
42.
42, yeah. And so he, this is the portion that just kind of drives me crazy, where Locke basically, like, quote unquote, indoctrinates Jack by being like, I can't do it by myself. That's incredibly manipulative.
Totally.
And it's incredibly, like, just like, the whole point is that you don't want this like island to explode or like mankind to not be safe or whatever, right? Like, you know that this is your destiny. Saeed is willing to press that button. Kate is willing to press that button.
Yep.
Why does it have to be Jack?
Yeah,
and
it's like a weird power thing.
It's a weird power thing. And the reason why is because he knows that if he can get Jack on his side with this, then A, he's going to have less resistance moving forward with figuring out what his destiny is and what the island wants and those kind of things. But he also knows that like Jack needs something to put his faith into. And this is him taking that free will from Jack, honestly, which I do think is quite messed up. So I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
Saeed more than willing to do it. So if you wanted a friggin' partner, you had 2 people right there like, well, this is ridiculous.
Yep. I think it all comes down to the fact that
Saeed didn't even need to know what it was for.
Yeah, he was like,
I'll press the button.
Yeah,
I fixed it.
I'll fucking do it. I'll punch right in the cooter.
That is kind of, I'll punch right in the cooter. Taylor Darla sent you.
Imagine it was that. You just had to punch someone in a cooter every 108 minutes to save the world.
I wish it was Shannon. But honestly, a little rude also to take that moment of pressing the button away from Saeed, who just fixed it. Like, and he wants to, like, let him press the button. He fixed it.
So I have to ask you, based off your theory of the Dharma Initiative, do you think anything will happen if they don't push the button? Because you said
clearly there is a magnetic field there, right? That they are right next to. I don't understand. There's got to be a fail-safe for this. I truly do believe that this is a part of the research, or like psychoanalyst research that they're trying to do, the psychological research. I do think, like, I mean, I can't remember what the name of the study is, but the study where they had like people pretend to be prison guards and prisoners and such.
Yeah,
like
the prison experiment. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name, but I know exactly.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head either. But it's one of those situations where like they're told to do something and people just like take on these roles and then like kind of go with it. And the people who have power are the ones that tend to abuse it. So if you were told, this is what you have to do or everybody dies, there's a certain level of power that goes with that too. So I have a feeling it's something similar to that. That said, this is a pretty messed up island. And my theory is something does happen.
Okay.
But it's like the next stage of the experiment. Like, I don't think that it's like, I think all it does is it keeps something at bay. I don't think they all explode, but I think that maybe something gets released or something changes or like new variables are entered into the equation.
And then my last question, does this affect your purgatory theory from season 1? Or alter it?
So we also hear that Desmond got shipwrecked as well. Mm-hmm. So I think the islands, because of the electromagnetic stuff, like it draws things that are metal to it, which explains planes and submarines and boats and like all that kind of stuff gets literally drawn to it and that they can't escape. But I do think that there's something otherworldly here. I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing research here is they're like, oh, we found something that defies our expectations of science. Yeah. We're going to send people there. And now we're going to figure out, can people live here? Let's do all these other experiments that we don't need to get like laws passed for, or like, we don't have to get rules for it. Right. So to a certain extent, I think, no, there's a little bit more science portion to it, but in keeping with the theory that is, or the theme that is this show, I do think that there is something extraordinary about this island, something that is not
I mean, for sure. There's like human whispers and there's
there's all these things, right? Well, the whispers very easily could be people in the Hunger Games thing, just like whispering over a microphone to people.
Maybe. There's also the ghosts.
But and like the ghosts could be productions of some sort. Like, so there's definitely like explanations from a scientific way that you could say if you've watched any number of these like post-apocalyptic things that all happened after the show was created. And I'm not thinking of that. Did they all learn shit from Lost? And then all of a sudden
Lost was very influential. I will say that.
Exactly.
Many movies and TV shows.
And books and such, I'm sure.
Pull from Lost.
So I think about that kind of thing, but there has to be a reason why all these people, there's specific people here for a reason. Why
they've also said that a lot. They've like, there has to be a reason we're here.
So I think there is something that it's like the science of faith. So they're trying, I think that that's the real experiment at the end of the day, is seeing if they could break the code for things that are inexplicable. Okay. And so, I don't think that they choose the people who go to the island. I think the island does. I do think the island is its own entity. And it very well could be like they know that this island is some sort of purgatory or some sort of waiting place or something. But I do think that there's a lot more that can be quote unquote scientifically explained. But it wouldn't be lost, I don't think, if they're going to have these huge discussions about faith versus logic, if it wasn't a blend of both.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And they've shown time and time again, the black and the white, but then there's also the gray, like all throughout. So that basically covers orientation. I won't even have you guess who this next episode's about because the title kind of gives it away. The title of the next episode is Everybody Hates Hugo. And
is it's about Hurley?
It is about Hurley. And the title of the episode is Everybody Hates Hugo.
Which is a play on Everybody Hates Chris, which is funny. Which actually that would have probably came out after this. So probably it's supposed to be Everybody Loves Raymond reference. But anyway, that's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I think that we'll get more clarity on numbers next episode.
You're going to get a lot. You're going to see some characters that we haven't seen yet in season 2 yet.
I'm excited.
That were in season 1 that we
Rose?
Maybe you might see some Rose again.
I already know who my MVP for next episode is.
It's gonna, because there's been a lot of characters that we just haven't seen a lot of. We haven't seen a lot of Sun. We haven't seen a lot of Shannon and Saeed. We haven't seen a lot of Charlie and Claire. We've seen a little bit, but not a lot. And so there's a lot of other storylines that could be happening while this is all happening that we need to like check in on.
Yeah.
Who's your MVP and LVP?
So LVP is Jack, 100%.
Easy.
Just done. Don't even need to explain.
He's a fucking idiot.
I will say Locke very close to being LVP as well, though.
Oh, for sure.
This was not a situation where I went, oh, Locke's on the right, let me give him MVP. No. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Jack was so whiny and bitchy, I probably would have given it to Locke. But
Especially that one scene when Desmond runs off and Locke is alone next to the computer. And it's like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this my destiny? Like, clearly he is, I don't want to say unhinged, but he is so blindly following Faith to the point where like he's making dumb decisions just because he thinks this is what
and did you notice his legs started to bother him the moment he started doubting such?
Yeah. So
That's
is it psychosomatic?
It totally is.
Yeah.
So there's that. I think I'm going to give MVP to Kate.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
I would not have given that to Kate, but okay. Explain.
It was either Kate or Saeed, and Saeed played such a small part in the episode, even though he did fix it.
Okay.
And I thought about Desmond too, but I think I'm going to give it
ANA LUCIA.
No, hell no. Hell no. None of them over on that. She was boss bitch, but I have to choose something that was like MVP of like the main storyline for me. Because the other things were so small. Actually, I changed course. My MVP is Helen from the Memories.
I don't know if we're allowed. I mean, it's our show. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
You literally choose third characters who never show up ever again in The Nanny every week.
So true. Call me out.
No. Okay, no. I'm going to stick with Kate. The reason why I give it to Kate is that she is able to cut the tension, even though it creates a whole new problem with shooting the gun. And then she's able to get Saeed. She's willing to be a part of. She has the curiosity. She's doing things for herself and for the greater good. And I think that she has an openness to the faith and the logic, and she clearly is caring about everybody's well-being at the same time in this episode.
Agreed.
So, I mean, if she didn't care and if she didn't have the curiosity, she never would have been like, Saeed can fix it. Let me go get there. And she was the first person who is not Desmond to realize there's got to be a front door to this situation.
Yeah, that's true. I love that there's been a front door this whole time. Like no one thought to
also talk
around.
about that. That is exactly my point too. There's two things I have questions on. How Desmond never mentions anything about hearing them dropping shit on the hatch or doing anything for like months, right? Or not months, maybe a month, because they've only been there for a month and a half. He never mentions anything about hearing them or anything like that, right? And then when she finds out there's a front door, none of them are like, why didn't we see this? Let's look around and see. Like, it's just like
I will say they do kind of explain why, like eventually in season 2, it is explained why the front door is so hard to find.
Did they have to think about it and wish, just like the room of requirement, that it would show up?
That is exactly it.
Oh,
or
they
it's just
stole
very
that
well
from Harry Potter.
Or it's just very well camouflaged, and it's hard to
whatever.
see. Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that MVP will go to her. I thought about Helen because of Helen's 100% right and everything in the memories, and really is trying to bring out the best, and is the first person in the memories that we've seen, like you said earlier, who hasn't done something shitty to Locke.
Yeah.
And I also thought about Desmond because he tries desperately to get people to, like, he is clearly aligned with Jack, but can't let himself be aligned with Jack. So he has to keep faith of doing something.
Yeah.
And then he's also like, well, I'm going to get out of here and go. But he's much more forthcoming with information once his safety is really, truly threatened.
Yeah. I also love.
So I don't really feel like that's an MVP for me.
Yeah. I also love the fact that, like you said, he agrees with Jack, but he is the voice of the audience, where a lot of people are like, you bring up a good point. This all could be fake, but also there's a fucking magnetic wall. So
your key was pointing at it without your help.
So I'm going to push the button. Like, that's kind of like his thought process. Which
and
in
our second time watching it, I asked you about this the first time. He says something about, like, every time I walk by that wall, my feelings get hurt. And I still can't figure out what he's saying there. But I truly think that when he's talking about the wall, I thought originally he meant the magnetic wall. Like, every time he goes by that, he sees that wall and is like, shit, something is there, so I got to go. But I think you're right that he's looking at the countdown, that wall. And being like, I can't risk it, kind of thing.
What I was thinking is, I always thought it was, he thought the way that he thought the way that Jack thought. He thought this was all a mind experiment. It won't actually cause the end of the world. But every time he sees that magnetic wall, it breaks that hope that he has that maybe he can just walk out of here and just, like, not have to push this button.
Yeah.
But instead, he sees that magnetic wall and is like, you know what? Fuck. They could be right. And I have to keep doing this whether I want to or not. Yeah. And it also brings into question, I know we're getting kind of late on time. It brings into question, like, if this is a thought experiment, they're going to very drastic measures. Mm-hmm. Because at what point is this no longer a thought experiment? This is a
torture.
Torture and fight for survival. Like, if someone truly feels like there's a sickness outside, that they can't leave, that there's a magnetic wall that's going to kill them if they don't push this button, it's no longer like, I'm doing this because I was told to. You're doing this because you feel like it's literally your survival.
And I think that I can't wait. I don't have a theory about this yet. Any more so than what Jack has, but, like, it says quarantine on the inside of that bunker.
It's true. It brings up a very good point. It doesn't make any sense why it would say quarantine on the inside if there was a sickness that you were, like, trying to avoid. Like, it has a quarantine on the inside to keep you inside. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that was season 2, episode 3, orientation. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to give us a like on Facebook, or not Facebook, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe, make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, 5-star please. And
5-star ratings and reviews. Yes, that helps our algorithm a lot. And if you know of anybody who loves Lost or loves The Nanny, feel free to share our podcast with them.
Yeah, and also make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Mess Moments. That's where we post about new episodes. We also talk a lot about, like, The Nanny and Lost. And if you have any spoiler-esque stuff you would like to talk about Lost related, send it over to me at 8-Bit Dylan on Twitter. I would love to hear your theories, your thoughts, everything that is Lost, because
you can I give you full permission to message Dylan and say, Beth is so right about everything. How is it that this unspoiled woman just sees everything so clearly? When we had full forums and none of us could figure it out, but Beth is just on a whole other level of understanding exactly what's happening. So feel free to message that to Dylan.
Yeah.
But if anybody is following The Nanny, remember that these are spoiler-free podcasts. So like Dylan doesn't know what happens in The Nanny. I don't know what happens in Lost. So if you have any spoilers for The Nanny, feel free to reach out to me. Spoilers for Lost, reach out to Dylan.
Yeah, and shout out to our one hater. We got someone who's been giving us 1 star and down rates. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Yes, queen.
Thank you for interacting with our content, because it does help us regardless of the fact that it's 1 star.
Oh, I love it. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back here next week with another Lost recap. And until then, bye.
Bye.